What's going on, everybody? Good afternoon. Hope you guys are doing well. We are just a couple days away from the start of the season now. We are 5 days away from Seahawks football, and the anticipation continues to mount. I think most of us are ready for the games to just be here. But before we get to the actual games, we still have some things to sort out across the NFL. And a lot of people are making predictions. A lot of people are trying to prognosticate on what's going to happen this year. And ESPN Plus put together this article. I think you have to be subscribed to them in order to actually see this one, where they polled a series of NFL executives and scouts to predict the award winners for the season. And this is something I think they do pretty much every year. And typically, in an article like this, you would not really see a big presence from the Seattle Seahawks. Maybe in the days of the Legion of Boom, you would have seen some stuff from them in the days of them winning 12 or 13 games a year and having tremendously high levels of success. In some of the years of prime Russell Wilson, maybe you would have seen a little bit from him as well. But generally speaking, that Pacific Northwest area gets a little passed over by the mainstream media and the top prognosticators. So I wanted to go through this article, and I'm going to go ahead and do it in this video. So if you're not on ESPN Plus, this is an opportunity to take a look at what they have. But as it turns out, there is a little bit of a Seattle Seahawk presence on this list, which kind of took me by surprise, and the way in which they are represented took me by surprise as well. So this article is posted by Jeremy Fowler, and again, I want to stress, this is a poll of league executives and scouts. This is not the media. This is not sports writers. These are people who actually work in the NFL. So presumably there would be some pressure on them to actually get this right. So let's take a look here, starting at the top. MVP, the general consensus pick was Patrick Mahomes, which I think is I think that one's a pretty obvious pick. I don't think there's really too much to say there. Mahomes winning MVP according to these guys. They have Dak Prescott, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Jordan Love, and Tua as the other guys receiving some degree of votes in this category. So pretty much the usual suspects. That's what you would expect. Offensive Player of the Year, we've got Tyreek Hill. Also getting votes would be Bijan Robinson, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase. Everything seems fine to me. Everything makes a lot of sense to me. So, yeah. So far, everything lines up with expectations. Defensive Player of the Year is Micah Parsons, which I don't know if he would be my pick this year, but he would certainly be one of the top picks. Myles Garrett, TJ Watt, Max Crosby, Justin Madubuike, Quinnen Williams also received some votes. So, no Seahawks yet. Right? And pretty much everything in line with, I think, reasonable expectations. Offensive Rookie of the Year. We got Caleb Williams. We have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Drake May. And if you actually read this paragraph here, you'll see that Jaden Daniels actually got the same number of votes as Caleb. And Caleb just carried the tiebreaker, which I think is a little bit deceiving. A lot of people are just going to look at the headline and then look at the also receiving votes category. So only really 4 guys got any credit here. Caleb, Marvin Harrison Jr., Drake May, Jaden Daniels. Again, it's going to be a quarterback in all likelihood. I'm surprised Bo Nix didn't get any votes, but odds are good that Caleb's going to win Rookie of the Year. And then we get down to Defensive Rookie of the Year, and not just receiving votes, but winning is Byron Murphy II. Byron Murphy II is going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year according to league executives and scouts. Evaluators were torn pre-draft on which defensive prospect was the best, explaining why the first 14 overall picks in the 2024 draft were offensive players, and the votes here reflected that. Murphy received the same number of votes as Indianapolis pass rusher Laiatu Latu, requiring tiebreakers. So Murphy didn't win it outright, but Murphy did win it. He did ultimately win it on the, I don't know what the tiebreakers are, the second ballot, ranked choice voting. I don't know exactly how they decide to do things here, but Byron Murphy did come out on top by a hair, by a whisker, however you want to put it, and that would be a pretty remarkable happening, right? The Seattle Seahawks had Reek Woolen a couple years ago. turned in an excellent season, 6 interceptions as a rookie, really good coverage numbers, and he didn't even sniff Defensive Rookie of the Year. Historically, the Seahawks typically do not get rewarded for their top rookies on offense or defense. And Byron Murphy, I've already made a video about this, I've already talked about this at length, is not the kind of player who usually wins Defensive Rookie of the Year, and yet, if you ask the executives, you ask the scouts, they think so highly of him, they think that he is going to find a way to pull it off. The other guys receiving votes, by the way, were Jared Verse and Dallas Turner. So basically, Murphy, Latu, Verse, Turner. I think those were literally the top 4 defensive players taken. So pretty clear where they're pulling that list from. But regardless, this is pretty notable, I think, and it shows how much the league in general respects Byron Murphy. Like, you go to the AP Defensive Rookie of the Year winners, historically, you've got pass rushers, you've got cornerbacks, you've got some high tackle linebackers, and that kind of sums everything up, right? For an interior defensive lineman to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, they typically have to be the kind of guy who amasses massive sack totals like Aaron Donald or Sue did. The exception would be Sheldon Richardson, I guess. He won Defensive Rookie of the Year in 2013, despite only having 3.5 sacks. But this would not happen all that frequently. I think if you go before Sheldon Richardson, to find another player that is kind of similar to Byron Murphy, you'd have to go all the way back to Tim Bowens in 1994 for the Miami Dolphins. So this is not something you typically see happen, and it would be pretty amazing if a player like Byron Murphy II playing for a team like the Seattle Seahawks that typically gets passed over in this category. I mean, you can go through this list. You will not find Seattle Seahawks represented anywhere on this Defensive Rookie of the Year list. That'd be pretty amazing. I think that it would require the Seahawks defense to be really good this year and Byron Murphy to find some way to be clearly and obviously a big part of it, which supposedly he's coming off the bench, right? Because the front line to start is going to be Big Cat, it's going to be Hankins in the middle, and Reed starting at the other end spot. If that's true, Murphy's coming off the bench, so he's not going to put up monster stats. So he's going to have to find another way to get this kind of credit here, because you look at these other players, guys like Latu, guys like Verse, guys like Dallas Turner, you would think they would put up bigger stats because they're going to play a little bit more, and their position lends itself to building up stats a little bit better than a guy like Murphy, who is going to be double teamed a lot in the middle, and his impact is going to be more measured in the defensive attention he takes, as well as things like QB pressures. So definitely interesting that it would be Byron Murphy II who gets a lot of positive attention here. And again, executives and scouts. This is not media people. If it was media people, I don't think Byron Murphy would even be getting that much attention at all. And I wouldn't even disagree with that because of the history of the award. Usually players like Byron Murphy don't take it home. You go through this list, it's mostly pass rushers, and you have some pretty good pass rushers this year. Guys like Turner, guys like Verse, Latu. So, yeah, we actually got a little bit of love here. They have Byron Murphy winning the award, which, I mean, wow. To go through the rest of the article real quick, we have Comeback Player of the Year, which goes to Aaron Rodgers, and also getting votes was Kirk Cousins, Jalen Phillips, Joe Burrow, Anthony Richardson. I kind of like Burrow in this category personally, but it could definitely be Rodgers. Breakout Player, Jamison Williams. Also receiving votes was Yaya Diaby, Trevon Walker, Zamir White, Will Levis, and Zay Flowers. Coach of the Year went to D'Amico Ryans, and also receiving votes were Matt LaFleur, Shane Steichen, Jim Harbaugh, Dan Campbell, Doug Peterson, Brian Callahan, and Dan Quinn. So no Mike McDonald. And by the way, if Byron Murphy II wins Defensive Rookie of the Year, that almost definitely means the Seahawks had a really good defense. So how are you not going to at least give some votes to Mike McDonald in that scenario? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's not going to be one. It's going to be both or neither. So, again, it's It's just going to happen first. I think that if this team wins 11 games this year, even maybe 10, McDonald should be getting some Coach of the Year hype, but he probably won't win it anyway, so I guess there's no point in talking about it all that much. I mean, you do have a guy like D'Amico Ryans who, if that Houston team goes, shoot, if that Houston team goes like 13 wins, he's probably just going to get it by default almost. All right, so yeah, Byron Murphy, good job, man. You're impressing people enough to get on an ESPN Plus article voted on by executives and scouts. So I might not see all the hype with Byron Murphy, but some people definitely do. All right, I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. Gonna be, I think, one more video later today, and then moving on to new topics starting tomorrow. See you guys soon.